Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to vlog number 2. We are heading back to Deuce's Poker for another $30 buy-in tournament. See if we can recapture some of the magic for last week and do another deep run. Before we get to that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Wolfgang Poker. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking out the video, and thank you so much for your encouraging and kind comment. It really meant a lot to me. If you guys don't know who Wolfgang Poker is, make sure to check his YouTube and his Instagram. Just a super great guy. I also want to thank everybody for watching, liking, commenting on the video, and subscribing to my channel. It really means a lot. So let's go to the action, and I'll see you guys after the video. Let's go. We joined the action at level 3, blinds of 100 and 200. We're missing a little bit of the pre-flop action here because I wasn't actually recording, but under the gun +1 limped for 200. We opened to 700. The button made it 2,500. It folded back to us. We look back at our hand. We have pocket queens. It's an easy shove for our starting stack of 10K, 4 times they're open. So that's what we do. We shove it all in. They don't waste too much time before calling. And they have jacks, so kind of a cooler for them. Double cooler is that we have both of their flush draws covered, so we don't even have to worry about that. All we really need to dodge is a jack or some kind of weird runner straight. We get a super safe flop, 3 ace, 9 of hearts, 6 of clubs. They're drawing to a jack. It's the 9 of spades on the river. We have an early double up. We pick up a pot of about 20,000. Things are still going great here at Deuce's Poker. Next hand, we're in the big blind with 10 deuce of diamonds. There's a middle position limp. The small blind completes. We check. We see a flop of 9 queen 10 rainbow. It checks around. The turn is a 9 of clubs. The small blind checks and I decide to bet here. I bet 500. The middle position player min raises us to 1,075. The small blind folds. I don't know what to make of this raise because of the sizing and because it's coming from a player who I think plays pretty tight. Looking back, I think for this sizing, the fact that we have second pair on the board that has so many draws, this should be an easy call, but I actually opted to fold and decided to just wait for a better spot to get in a hand with this player. The funny thing is, I didn't hear it at the time, but in a later hand, while checking on the footage, I overheard him say that he check raise bluffed the vlogger. So, looks like this player might not be playing this tight after all, and I will make sure to remember this information and use it in our future encounters. Nice answer. In this next hand, we're now at level 4 with blinds at 200, 400. We're under the gun, and we look down at ace of clubs, queen of spades. We make it 1,500. The under the gun +1, a late position player, and the button all called the 1,500. Both blinds fold, and we head to the flop with a little over 6,000 in the pot. The flop comes 3 king deuce with 2 spades, and I debated between checking and betting here. I guess we could bet to just try and take the pot down. We have backdoor straight draws, backdoor spade draw in case we get called. Reasons for checking is that we have 3 players to act behind us, people tend to be pretty sticky, and we could have the best hand right now. So it checks around and we go to the turn. We don't improve on the turn, which comes to 9 of clubs. We check. Under the gun +1 checks. Late position checks. The button bets 2,500. We fold. Under the gun +1 calls. Late position player calls. They go 3-handed to the turn with a little over 14K in the pot. The river comes the ace of hearts. The under the gun +1 player checks. Late position player checks. The button jams for an amount that I did not write down, unfortunately, but both the other players fold and the button wins the hand without a showdown. We are now at level 5 with blinds at 300 and 600. The low jack and the cutoff both limp for 600. We are on the button and we look down at ace 5 of diamonds. We decide to open to 1,500. It folds back to the low jack, who calls the 1,500. The cutoff calls the 1,500 as well. We head to a flop, 3 ways with a little over 5K in the pot. The flop comes queen 6 king rainbow. It checks around to us, and once again, we debate what to do here. I think a bet is definitely fine because we can take down the pot. We have backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw if we get called. However, I think with a king and a queen on the board, it's very likely that one of our opponents at least has a pair, and they won't let it go to a bet. So I opted for a check and pot control. The turn comes to deuce of clubs, and once again, both players check. In retrospect, I should have definitely thrown out a bet here to try and take down the pot. But my thought was that the deuce of clubs really doesn't change anything to the board. And a bet here would look really suspicious, except for maybe a delayed C bet. But again, trying to pot control, I might have the best hand. I check again. The river comes the 8 of clubs. The low jack player bets 1500. The cutoff player folds. And here we are on the river with ace high. Very unhappy with the way we played this hand. And we don't feel like compounding the mistakes by calling with ace high on the river. We fold and on to the next hand. We're still at level 6 with blinds at 300, 600. We are in the under the gun position, and perhaps the poker gods have noticed that we've been struggling playing non-premiums tonight, so they bestow us with pocket jacks. We open to 2000. It folds around to the hijack, who is a new player who just sat down at the table with a fresh 10k stack. They decide to put the stack to work though, and they put it all in. It folds back around to us, and well, we're never folding jacks, are we? We're not. We call and we take our jacks to the streets. However, we see the bad news when our opponent shows pocket kings. And the person you're about to hear is the player who I was all in with earlier when I had queens and they had jacks. And I'm going to let the audio play out.
Yes. Ah, now you know how it feels.
I'm going to hit a jack. That's the difference, though.
And just like that, we summon a 2-outer. We're not completely out of the woods though, as the flop comes all clubs, which thankfully our opponent has none of. The dealer somehow manages to put a 4-card straight flush on the board. But the river pairs the board, gives us the boat, gives us the pot, and yeah, we got extremely lucky here. On to the next hand. We're in the big blind. We see an early position limp for 600. The hijack raises to 1800. The cutoff calls. We look down at pocket fives, and we decide to put on our hard hat and go set mining. The early position player calls the 1800 as well. We go four-handed to a flop with 7.5k in the pot. The flop comes 6 king 9 with 2 spades, and the action checks around. Off to the turn, which comes the king of diamonds. We check. Early position player checks. The hijack bets 3.1k. The cutoff calls the 3.1k. We fold, and the early position player calls the 3.1k. They go three-handed to the river with 16.8k in the pot. The river comes to 7 of clubs. The early position player checks. The hijack checks. The cutoff goes all in for their remaining stack, 5.1k. The early position player calls the 5.1k. The hijack folds. So we go heads up to a showdown, and the cutoff player wins the hand with a full house. A few more bits later, and we find ourselves with about 12 to 13 big blinds in our stack, and we look down at pocket fives on the button. It folds all the way around to us, and we have an easy jam here for 26,000. So that's what we do. We stake our stack in the middle. Both blinds fold, and we pick up some much needed chips. We are now at level 9 with blinds at 2,000, 4,000. We see a middle position player limp the 4k. We look down at ace of spades, queen of diamonds, and with about 29k in our stack, we decide to jam it all in. It folds back to the middle position player who says, "I've done worse." Which we're happy to hear, I suppose. And after thinking about it for a little bit, they call with Jack of Diamonds, 8 of Clubs, and on we go to a showdown. Let's hold. Unfortunately for us, they get lucky on the flop and they hit an 8, but we turn the Ace of Justice and we hold up. We fist bump. We appreciate the gamble. This guy's got heart, but we have his chips. And we have some breathing room now, and maybe we got a chance to do another deep run. Let's go. Even with this double up, the blinds are catching up to us. We're now at level 11 with 4,000, 8,000 blinds, and we have 40k in our stack, 5 big blinds. We see a shove from under the gun, who has about 28k in their stack, and we saw them shove Jack 10, the very hand just before this one. We look down at King Jack, and we decide to go for it here with our 5 blinds versus a player who we know has been shoving wide. Unfortunately for us, the small blind snap jams their own stack, 33k. So we got both players covered. The under the gun player shows Queen 10, so we were right in our read here when we shoved King Jack. Unfortunately, the small blind woke up with Ace King, and they hold up. And we are crippled and left with 7k, less than 1 big blind. With our less than 1 big blind left, we were looking for an opportunity to get our chips in with a decent hand. Unfortunately, we did not get really any decent hands for a whole other round. So we're now in the big blind and we're all in blind. So let's hope to peel some good cards and maybe have a chance to still be in this tournament. We look down at King Jack, so that's pretty good. We're happy to see that. Being that I'm so short stacked, I'm expecting to see a lot of players limp and check to the river in hopes of taking me down, and this is what happens when the under the gun player to my left limps 8k. Surprisingly though, the button raises to 30k, which I'd love to see because I'm getting protection now. What I don't love to see is the small blind calling the 30k. Anyway, here I am with a chance to quadruple up. The flop comes 7-9-5 with 2 hearts. And I'm thinking they're going to check it down to try to take me down. The small blind checks. However, the button bets 50k. The small blind folds and we are heads up versus the button, who is the loosest player at the table. Unfortunately, they wake up with the goods this time. They have kings, and we are crushed. The turn does bring us hope, though, as it brings a flush draw. However, we brick out on the river, and we are out of the tournament in 6th place. Welcome back, everyone. So we finished in 6th, and 4 players got paid, so we busted short of the money, but we ended up playing some cash games afterwards, made our buy-in back, and then a couple $100, so it's all good. I think we could have benefited from playing more aggressively. Seems to have worked really well for us last week, so that's what I'll be looking to do next time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, then click that like button. It means a ton. If you enjoyed it so much that you would like to be informed of when my next video comes out, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I appreciate all of you guys, everybody watching the videos, and I will see you for vlog number 3. See you guys later.